Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chennapatam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, fourth chapter, text 19 onwards. Chaturhotam karmashuddham prajanam vikshya vedikam vyadadha yajya santya vedam ekam chaturvidam. He saw that the sacrifice, he means Vedyasi, he saw that the sacrifices mentioned in Vedas are means by which the people's occupations could be purified. And to simplify the process, he divided the one Veda into four in order to extend them. Earlier, only one, like Prabhupada says, formerly there was only the Veda of the name Yajur Veda. And the four divisions of sacrifices were there specified. To more easily performable, the Veda was divided into four divisions of sacrifice just to purify the occupational service of the four orders. Of the four Vedas, namely Rig, Yajur, Sam, and Atharva, there are the Puranas, the Mahabharata, Samhitas, etc., which are known as the fifth Veda. Shri Vyasadeva and his many disciples were all historical personalities, and they were very kind and sympathetic towards the fallen souls of this age of Kali. As such, the Puranas and Mahabharata were made from the related historical facts which explain the teachings of the four Vedas. Puranas and Mahabharata, Mahabharata is also considered Puran. Puran means stories, the teachings given in the story form. Prabhupada's writing, they also explain the teaching of the four Vedas only. Vedas teach in terms of shlokas, but then stories, they teach in the terms of stories. There is no point in doubting the authority of the Puranas and Mahabharata as part and parcels of the Vedas. In the Chandogaya Upanishad, the Puran and Mahabharata, generally known as histories, are mentioned as fifth Veda. According to Suta Goswami, that is a way of ascertaining the respective values of the revealed scriptures. So Puranas also have the same teachings that we get from the Vedas. We cannot just neglect the value of Puranas and Mahabharata also. Rigyaju samartha vakya veda chatvar udhrita itihasa puranam cha panchamo veduchyate. Four divisions of the original source of the knowledge, the Vedas, were made separately. But the historical facts and authentic stories mentioned in the Puranas are called the fifth Veda. Tatragar Ved Dhara Pehla Samgo Jaimani Kavi Vaishampayan Edaiko Nishnato Yajushamuta. Justice. After the Vedas were divided into four divisions, Pehla Rishi became the professor of the Rig Veda, Jaimini the professor of the Sam Veda, and Vaishampayan alone became glorified by the Yajur Veda. So different Vedas were entrusted to different learned scholars for development in various ways. So I am not sure exactly what they did, but this is what Bhagavatam says. Atharvang gira samasit sumantur daruno muni itihas puranam tamero marha. The Sumantu Muni Angira, who was very devotedly engaged, was interested with the Atharva Veda, and my father, means Suta Goswami is saying, my father, Romar, was interested with the Puranas and the historical records. In the Shruti Mantras, also it is stated that Angira Muni, who strictly followed the rigid principles of the Atharva Vedas, was a leader and leader of the followers of the Atharva Veda. So Romharshan Suta was interested with the Puranas and historical records. So not an ordinary person, this Romharshan Suta. And Suta Goswami is the son of Romharshan Suta. Ta etarishyo vedam swam swam vyasan nekadha shishya prashishya stachishya vedaste shakino bhavan. All these learned scholars, in their turn, rendered their interested Vedas unto their many disciples, grand disciples, and great grand disciples, and thus the respective branches of the followers of the Vedas came into being. The original source of the knowledge is Vedas. There are no branches of knowledge, either mundane or transcendental, which do not belong to the original text of the Vedas. They have simply been developed into various branches. They the Vedic knowledge divided into branches all over different sections. Independent knowledge, but now people they don't want to relate the knowledge that they get is from Vedas, but actually everything is from Vedas. It means knowledge. Veda means knowledge. Tae Veda Durmadhair Dharyante Purushair Yatha Evam Chakara Bhagwan Vyasaha Kripanavatsaha. Thus a great sage Vyasadeva, who is very kind to the ignorant masses, edited the Vedas so they might be assimilated less. So he divided into 4 Vedas so they could be understood by less intellectual men, especially for the people of Kali Yuga. And even if we get those original Vedas written in Sanskrit, we won't be able to understand anything. And Prabhupada has given his commentaries for us to be even able to understand what the Vedas and other scriptures talk about. Just like once we were doing book distribution in Dallas, so same way that we used to do here, I set up a book table and try to do distribution. So one person over there, he came, Indian body, he was smoking a cigarette and he said, "Oh, do you have a copy of Vedas?" I said, "First you throw away that cigarette and then you come to the table, then you ask for the Vedas. Do you think you can learn Vedas just by smoking cigarette? You think Vedas are just like you can sit on an armchair and read the shlokas and you can learn the Vedas? There's no way. Vedas are not just the books. Actually, in the beginning, when Brahmaji was entrusted with the creation, so all the Vedas also came out. So Vedas are person. And that's why there was this demon in the form of an horse actually. He took these Vedas and he hid them. And the Lord had taken the incarnation to kill that demon and retrieve the Vedas. So Vedas are not just the books. They're written in the book form now, but they are persons themselves. They're persons. Just like in Srimad Bhagavatam only, when we get to 10th canto, if you want to read before that, you can go to Krishna book, and it is said that glorification by Vedas personified. Vedas personified also glorify Krishna. And so all the Vedas, they are persons. And in fact, these Vedas also, they got so attracted by Krishna that they became gopis also. So they are called Vedchari gopis. So they are also persons. So to get the mercy of those persons, we have to follow the rules and regulations. Not just by smoking cigarette and just sitting and commenting upon on the Sanskrit verses of Vedas, we can think we can understand Vedas. There's no way. There is no way. That's what the mistake or actually this was the purpose of Britishers. What was his name? Macaulay. Macaulay came to India just for this purpose of translating the verses of Vedas and to put down the Vedic text. So Vedas are not understood just by translating the verses the way we understand. No. Lots of realizations required. Lots of penances, austerity, purification is required before we can even approach the Vedas. But Macaulay did it very nicely. He studied Vedas. He translated in his own terms, language, and he put it down in front of Hindus or the people living here in India. And was basically his idea was to put down the Vedas and to bring a Bible. So people of India, they basically give up their own culture. Because Britishers, they just could not conquer India because the culture here was so strong. So people then slowly, they just gave up the culture because they started having doubts about the Vedic knowledge. And this is a British system. Britishers, they pretty much enslaved us. Even today, how many people believe in Vedic culture and try to follow the Vedic culture? We talk about, oh, India has lots of culture, India has lots of culture. What culture we have? There is corruption, rampant corruption everywhere. There is molestation of women. There is people doing all sorts of nonsense things in the name of scriptures. Just because they put on dhoti kurta or pajama kurta, whatever, and you think we are cultured people? No. Basic quality of a cultured person is his internal qualities. They should reflect. I mean, this person should be at least in the mode of goodness. But where is it? Where do we see that? Hardly anywhere in India. Of course, knowledge is none. Hardly anybody. And this is what Macaulay got successful in doing. This was his aim, that we should give up our culture, Vedic culture, especially the Varna system, which is said so nicely by Krishna in the scriptures. He is telling us do mythology, Hindu mythology, and we very proudly we sit down in big meetings and Hindu mythology says this, Hindu mythology says this. So mythology means Krishna, Ram, Narsimhadev, Vamandev, Varadev. They're all mythological figures. They're fictional figures. They're not real. So this is Prabhupada saying all the Puranic stories, they represent the teaching of the Vedas. So this revolution is necessary, it's important to bring about. So we have to, if not the Vedas, if not all the Vedas, at least we bring this Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam in the day-to-day lives of people, so they can read. Prabhupada has given them very easy to understand summaries or commentaries, so we can read and we can implement those teachings in our lives. That is the real purpose of Vedas. But this day and age, and of course it's an effect of Kali Yuga also, but we have lost the basic. In fact, one of the purports later on Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says, there's chaos all over the world. There's fighting, there's chaos, there are problems, and the real reason for this is Indians. Why? Because Indians are supposed have Vedic knowledge and they're supposed to disseminate this Vedic knowledge all over the world. And until this Vedic knowledge is disseminated all over the world, there will always be chaos and war and pestilence and all sorts of problems. So first we have to understand this knowledge, we have to inculcate these teachings, and then we have to disseminate, we have to go out and preach. But yes, it's missing. This part is very much missing. Because these days, just like Akanksha asked the other day, what's the meaning of old age? When do you get old? Like people say, when you're old, then you take up all these nonsense activities. When you're young and healthy, you go watch movies, you go do all this kind of nonsense, hoping that like 50, 60 years we have done that, and then we think we can take up the study of Vedas and Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting and other processes. No way. Some accept would be there, but it's not possible for one to take it up. So this knowledge, these teachings have to be taken up seriously from the very young age. When we are young, when we are fresh, when we can understand this knowledge, we can in fact try to understand. Just like once somebody asked Prabhupada, how come everybody in your movement is young? Because that time it was people who were in their late teenagers or early 20s, they were joining the movement. That who goes to the university to study? And he said, all young people. He said, this is why. Because we need the young people who can study the scriptures and who can take it up, who can implement and then give it out further. So young people are very much required. Of course, people like me who are old, they are also required just to sit and just blabber about something. But young people are also required. The Veda is one, and the reasons for its divisions in many parts are explained herewith. The seed of all knowledge, or the Veda, is not a subject matter which can easily be understood by any ordinary man. There is a stricture that no one should try to learn the Vedas who is not a qualified Brahman. This Brahman is not a caste Brahman. Caste system is completely thrown out. It's not about caste system, it's Varnashram system. So it's not a qualified Brahman. Brahman is known by his qualities and the work that he does, not by birth. This stricture has been wrongly interpreted in so many ways. A class of men who claim Brahmanical qualifications simply a Brahman, claim that the study of Veda is a minority of the Brahman caste only. Another section of the people take this as an injustice to the members of other castes who do not happen to take birth in a Brahman family, but both of them are misguided. The Vedas are subjects which had to be explained even to Brahmaji by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the subject matter is understood by persons with exceptional qualities of goodness. And this Macaulay definitely did not have those qualities. Persons who are in the mode of passion and ignorance are unable to understand the subject matter of the Vedas. The ultimate goal of Vedic knowledge is Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. This personality is very rarely understood by those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance. In Satyuga, everyone was situated in the mode of goodness. Generally, the mode of goodness, it was Vedic and Upper Yugas, and the general mass of people became corrupt. In the present age, the mode of goodness is almost nil. And so, for the general mass of people, the kind-hearted, powerful sage, Srila Vyasadeva, divided the Vedas in various ways so that they may be practically followed by less intelligent persons in the modes of passion and ignorance. So this was the purpose, but understanding the purport of Prabhupada, this day and age, Kali Yuga is very, very difficult for one to understand the Vedas because we are mostly in passion and ignorance. And to understand Vedas, one has to come to the mode of goodness. So next verse, Istri Shudra Dvijabandhunam Traina Shruti Gochara Karm Shreyasi Mudanam Shreya Evam Bhavediha Iti Bharatam Akyanam Kripya Munina Kritam. Our compassion, the great sage thought it wise that this would enable men to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Thus we compile the great historical narration called Mahabharata, women, laborers, and friends of the twice born. So many times ladies get offended when they read this shloka. Why? We are less intelligent. That he had to create Mahabharata for us. But Suta Goswami is saying it's also created for laborers and friends of the twice born. Means for Shudras and for Dvij Bandhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said in Kali Yuga, everybody is a Shudra. Kalo Shudra Sambhava. So it's not just the lady, but we all come in this category that we cannot understand Vedas. That is the reason Ved Vyas wrote Mahabharata. So we can, because in Kali Yuga everybody likes some stories, some politics, some treachery, some cheating going on. But in Mahabharata, he also kept Bhagavad Gita there. So once we read Mahabharata, we also side by side we read Bhagavad Gita and get purified. The friends of the twice born families are those who are born in the families of Brahman, Kshatriya and Vaishya, or the spiritually cultured families, but who themselves are not equal to their forefathers. So they are called Dvij Bandhu. Means they are born in those families, but the qualities are not there in those persons. Such descendants are not recognized as such for want of purificatory achievements. The purification begins even before the birth of the child, and the seed-giving reformatory process is called Garbhadan Sanskar. One who has not undergone such Garbhadan Sanskar or spiritual family planning is not accepted as being of an actual twice-born family. So twice-born means one who first takes birth from his mother and then takes initiation. But one who does not undergo even Garbhadan Sanskar, and I'm pretty sure most of us, or even all of us, we did not undergo Garbhadan Sanskar. Are we there? Is everybody here? So
Yes,
since
Prabhu.
we did not go, somehow I can only see Radha Damodar Prabhu on the screen and his loving, smiling face.
No, Prabhuji, we are here.
Okay, so since we didn't undergo Garbhadan, that's why we are not considered, we could not be considered as a Brahman or Kshatriya Vaishya. We all are considered as Shudras. Of course, Mahaprabhu's followers there, Mahaprabhu said, Kalo Sambhava, Shudra Sambhava, Sanskara Bhaved Dvija. Sanskar, by purification, one can become Dvija or twice born. So long purport, Prabhupada then writes in the end, the Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. It's the first book of spiritual values, as Upanishads are. That's why Gita is sometimes also called Gita Upanishad. The Vedanta philosophy is a subject matter for study by the spiritual graduates. Only the postgraduate spiritual student can enter into the spiritual or devotional service of the Lord. It's a great science, and the great professor is the Lord himself in the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And persons who are empowered by him can initiate others in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So not just studies of Vedas is important, it's just to inculcate those teachings. So like we studied earlier, Vipra, Brahmana, we studied those terms. Vipra means one who has a knowledge of scriptures. But then comes the Vaishnava. Vaishnava not just have the knowledge, but they inculcate those teachings and they apply those teachings in the service of the Lord. So Vaishnava is above them. But regardless, we have to try to study please Prabhupada's books properly, try to understand the philosophy. In fact, the quote that came today and that I quoted, that also Prabhupada is stressing upon. Read my books thoroughly again and again. Then you will understand the philosophy and then you can follow the philosophy. So we have to try now, since God, so many people, I don't know if they picked up Bhagavatam sets from Radha Prabhu or not, but please pick them up and study daily. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any comments? Wow. So I guess everybody agrees with me. So I guess then we should stop here. Everybody have a wonderful day. Jai Shila Prabhupada.
Thank you,
Jai
Prabhuji.
Krishna
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.